Urban development and digitization is one of the integral parts of Professor Babagana Zulum's 10-pact development agenda. Issues pertaining to land administration, certificate of occupancy, housing and other environmental matters have continued to take center stage throughout the administration of Babagana Zulum. Hello and welcome. This is Borno Restoration. I am Jessie Tafida. Today on the program, we will bring you up to speed with activities of the Borno Geographic Information Service under the Zulum-led administration. All this will come your way after we bring you the latest on Borno Today. At a time when Nigeria's image is being tested by misinformation and negative narratives, the call from the country's information chief couldn't have come at a more crucial time. Gathered in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, commissioners for information from APC-governed state met to chart a communication strategy that reflects the true story of Nigeria's transformation and resilience. The minister, Mohammed Idris, warned against a growing wave of disinformation, labeling Nigeria as a site of genocide, a narrative he says is not only false, but deliberately coordinated to tarnish the country's global image.
Our first strategic imperative, therefore, is to disarm and dislodge this corrosive narrative. We must refuse to amplify the terminology of our detractors. Instead, our messaging must be proactive, grounded in verifiable facts, and focused on the reality of our ongoing effort toward security, stability, and national cohesion.
He also lauded Governor Babagana Zulum for what he described as resilient leadership and the state's remarkable recovery from over a decade-long conflicts.
This state has been a testament to the indomitable courage and capacity required to recover, to rebuild, and to boldly reimagine a future once threatened by darkness.
The minister later inspected several federal and state projects across Maiduguri, reaffirming the government's commitment to transparent communication and development accountability. For residents of Borno, the visit and message came as further validation of the state's journey towards peace and progress. At the heart of Maiduguri, the voices of girls echoed with hope and determination as the Borno Women Development Initiative body hosted an event to mark the 2025 International Day of the Girl Child. The gathering drew civil society organizations, development partners, government representatives, and dozens of schoolgirls, all united by a shared vision, a future where every girl can learn, lead, and live with dignity. This year's global theme, The Girl I Am, the Change I Lead, set the tone for deep conversations about education, empowerment, and equality.
We want to see that girls work together to know who they are. First, they need to identify themselves and also discover themselves and know what they are capable of doing. Then they will now start leading change. Every woman was once a girl, and girls are incubators. They are the future. Just like the way Hausa will say, "Emata adonde."
A girl who is educated and supported becomes a confident woman, a nurturing mother, an innovative entrepreneur, and a powerful voice for justice. We cannot all succeed when half of us are held back. We have to go and help.
Discussions also highlighted the need for practical interventions in schools, especially the provision of menstrual hygiene kits, a necessity that ensures girls do not miss out on learning during their monthly cycle.
Gender disparity is a key concern for us, and then the girl child generally faces, speaking from education point of view, faces more tendency for drop out of school.
For the young girls present, the day was more than a celebration. It was a moment of inspiration, reflection, and a call to dream beyond limitations. Borno Women Development Initiative body is calling on government, development partners and civil society organizations to put all hands on deck to ensure that the voice of the girl child is being amplified across the country. After 14 years of insurgency, thousands of women and girls in Borno State continue to live with the scars of displacement, loss and abuse. But for many, the silent suffering caused by sexual and gender-based violence is an even deeper wound. A recent report from the Sexual Assault Referral Center reveals that over 5,000 cases of gender-based violence were recorded in the northeast state of Borno, Yobe and Adamawa in the last 4 years alone. Determined to change this grim narrative, the Borno State Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development is stepping up its response.
The Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, in collaboration with various partners and stakeholders, has made significant progress in combating GBV through empowering survivors, offering access to safe spaces, counseling and economic opportunities to rebuild their lives. We have a beautiful one-stop center in Budum.
Backed by the state legislation and ongoing collaboration with humanitarian partners, the ministry is also training focal officers and sensitizing traditional and religious leaders to help identify and report cases of abuse more effectively.
We work directly with the Ministry of Justice, with FIDA, with MBA, with security agencies, with our traditional rulers, our religious leaders. Everybody in Borno is a stakeholder. And so with this law, we know that if you go and do anything outside the ambit of the law, you go to jail. And we have had series of convictions.
Data from the ministry shows that 82% of reported cases are perpetrated against adults, while 18% involve children, a trend officials describe as deeply troubling. The Borno State Ministry of Women Affairs says it will leave no stone unturned in ensuring that perpetrators of gender-based violence are brought to justice, while survivors receive the protection and support they deserve. Under the Zulum-led administration, the government insists that silence is no longer an option in the fight against gender-based violence. The Borno State Command of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps is ramping up efforts to strengthen security within Maiduguri and its surrounding communities. Under the leadership of Commandant Mohammed Hassan, the Corps has intensified surveillance and patrols in strategic areas, a proactive measure aimed at preventing crimes before they occur. In a press briefing at the State Command headquarters, the Commandant disclosed that 8 suspects have been apprehended for various offences ranging from vandalism and theft to criminal breach of trust and misappropriation.
The month under review, the command has achieved significant level of successes, and this is not unconnected to the effort put in place by the command to ensure safety of lives and properties in the citizenry. It is a known fact that criminals and criminality has no place in terms of critical national infrastructure, and so we are urging them to desist from such acts. Desist from such acts because they will definitely face the wrath of law.
The commandant emphasized that the operation is part of a wider strategy to reassure residents and deter potential offenders as the state continues its post-conflict recovery. Residents have commended the renewed vigilance of security agencies, calling for stronger collaboration among sister organizations to sustain peace and stability. With the arrest of the 8 suspects and intensified patrols across Maiduguri, the NSCDC says it is not relenting in its mission to safeguard lives, property and critical infrastructure in Borno State. The Borno Geographic Information Service is one of the agencies that has been playing a vital role in the urbanization policy of Professor Babagana Zulum. Join me as I engage the Executive Secretary of Borges, Engineer Adam Barbabi, as he takes us through activities of the agency. Welcome to Borno Restoration. As the Executive Secretary of the Borno Geographic Information Service, how do you feel that this agency continues to grow higher over the years since its establishment by Professor Babagana Zulu?
Alhamdulillah, so far so good. The agency has progressed, it is maturing, though we are not yet at the promised land. Alhamdulillah, it is progressing in terms of its activities, in terms of its output, and in terms of its acceptability from the people, which is very key. Since whatever we are doing is for the general interest of the public. Thank you to them, but so far so good. It's progressing.
One key event that will continue to linger in the minds of people is the 2024 flooding. And we could see that the agency has pulled itself through to ensure that people are being back to their homes in the shortest period of time. How did you make that possible?
Yes, you see, planning is the bedrock of any development. Thank God the administration of Engineer Professor Babagana Zulu has put in place a state development plan. That plan has in it what we call the RRR segment, the reconstruction, rehabilitation and resettlement. Already we were emerging out of a decade-long insurgency. We are already used to emergencies. As such, the flood is just one of the emergencies, one of the unfortunate incidences which we just have to get out of. And that was why we got back to our feet fast. If this devastation could have happened elsewhere, I am 100% sure they will still be battling with its consequential damages. But thank God, it's like it has not happened in the state. Few incidences, exceptional cases here and there definitely may occur. It will be in the annals of Borno, it will be in the history of Borno that it has happened, but then we are emerging out of it. Ab initio, when this thing happened, this agency was the first agency to come up with an assessment of the level of destruction before even the statewide committee was set up. The most important segment of any decision making is data. So we ensured that we provided the data that will be used to assess the level of destruction and how we can circum that. In our initial assessment, in our baseline survey, immediately after the insurgency, we estimated about 95,000 households or properties were destroyed. At the end of it, the real assessment was out, and it was just a little above 100,000, which was within our own assessment. It's usually plus or minus 5% degree of freedom, and our baseline as an agency was right. It was a total of about 202 square kilometers affected, starting from Aloe Dam to the Jerry Bound. So far, we have the database containing minimally destroyed, partially destroyed, and fully destroyed properties and public infrastructure. Palliatives were given. Majority of the people got these palliatives. As a result of the effort of this agency in coming up with an assessment database covering all these levels of damages or levels of destructions. This is just one. The Ministry of Works is there, the Ministry of Transport is there, Ministry of Water Resources is there, Urban Planning and Development Board is there, this agency is there. So this is just one of many. So for you to successfully implement any enforcement, it has to be, and making the public understand that whatever enforcement or whatever decision government is making is for their own benefit is very key. And that is what we have started. First, we set up a committee on the river banks buffer zone. Let us identify, let us map out these locations that fall either right inside the river or on the river banks. Let's identify them. Let's know to what extent have they encroached. Then the decision will now follow. The committee has submitted its report. The next line was already directed to them to come up with those that were either mistakenly or by whatever means were issued titles by government. There are instances where people are on illegal locations, but they had obtained statutory titles before now. So you see, you cannot say this is an illegal location and also give that person a title. So we are now correcting those before we now forge ahead to ensure that there is full enforcement that will avert the future occurrence. This agency is not about revenue generation. This agency is about service delivery. Yes, taxation is very key. Tenement rents or land rents, ground rents are a segment of the constitution that the citizenry must comply with. All of the revenues that we generate are as a result of the services we render, are as a result of the processes that people follow. Sensitization, enlightenment campaigns, so that they will know the relevance and importance of these services. As they are getting the services, they pay the token they are supposed to pay. And that's how we generate the revenue. We generate these revenues not by forcing anybody. If you notice, it's a seamless one because we have already established. Initially when we came, it was so much noise, so much complaints because it had been a dormant segment of past administrations. But this administration of Engineer Professor Babagana Amara Zulu gave great emphasis to land administration. There are a lot of nations that do not have mineral resources or some good oils, but they have taxes running the government from revenues accrued. As such, it's more about rendering services and ensuring that the people are enlightened on the importance of these documentations and processes.
Let's talk about the technology you've brought here in this agency.
In any development that you want to do, domesticate it, make it local, and you will derive the maximum benefits. In other locations that you are talking about, consultants, companies, blue chip companies, some popular names are hired, paid huge amounts of money to help in the digitization. And these names are there not for nothing's sake. They are there to protect their names, they are there to make profit. As such, for whatever amount that you have bargained with, they must have a run for their money. We imbibe the use of indigenous local hands and segmentation. We segmented the activities starting from the most critical to the later. How do we digitize our record system? How do we digitize our filing system? How do we digitize our collection? How do we digitize our billing? How do we digitize our human resource in terms of their leaves and the rest? So we segmented everything using our local resources We have graduates roaming the streets having this knowledge without even having a registered name, talk more of a company, and they have the capacity to do these things. We engage them locally, some of them even our staff, and we achieved it. At the end of the day, we are now in the process of synchronizing these segmented entities. Finance is there, the revenue is there, the record is there. So now we are synchronizing them one by one, almost at the verge of completion. By the time we complete it before the end of this year, inshallah, we are comfortable. We can beat our chest. I had chit-chats with CEOs of similar agencies across the Federation. I smiled internally because I know we are far ahead. They blow their trumpets, they go to the media, they say what they want to say, but then we know what we have done. Yeah. You see, there's a saying in my language that it's easier to wake up 1,000 people that are sleeping than situation. They don't even know. It had been dormant, they don't even know. So it's very easier for us to catch them. It's very easier for us to make them ours by making them know. It's very easy. We convince them this is the benefit. And they have seen it. They go to the banks, they get loans. They make mortgages. They do a lot of transactions using the titles we issue them. The corruption in the system has drastically reduced. It has so much reduced that they now have confidence in the system. Transaction will not be consummated or completed without seeing document from Bojis. Once they don't see any document from Borno Geographic, the transaction is truncated. That is the level of confidence people have gathered. That is a plus. So, as a challenge, we have succumbed to that one. When we came, the challenges were basically three. Unscrupulous elements from within the system, the land vendor system that was operating independently, and then the traditional institution, particularly the Bulama system. The Bulamas, capitalizing on inherited lands, continue to do their businesses illegally. They were forming a very formidable opposition to whatever the land administration in the state was doing. The vendor system, thinking that they were doing legitimate business, were also forming a very formidable opposition to the land administration. And then because of the dormancy of this sector in past administrations, people from within the system were eating fat, leveraging on their access to documents, leveraging on their access to information. But that segment, so far so good. We have surmounted it, and alhamdulillah. Life can never be without challenges, but I am really appreciative of the progress we have made so far. So these are challenges that we have identified, and we are already living with it because we have acclimatized ourselves with it and are giving solutions to it.
Now, what message would you want to pass across to the good people of the state, even as you continue championing the affairs of this office?
My message has always been one: patience. Once they are patient, they will reap the benefits of what we are doing. The fruits of what we are doing will be reaped. And it is already there to the public domain in terms of revenue, in terms of number of COFOs that had been issued, in terms of consents that had been obtained. The governor is so magnanimous in his nature and so hardworking that he had endured to sign over 3,000 certificates of occupancy within this period that we had come into being. From 1999 to 2019, only about 1,700 or so certificates were signed. From 2020 that we came to date, over 3,000 certificates of occupancy have been signed, and still more. As I am talking to you, there are a few hundreds on his table, and they are about to be signed by his humble self. So it's a progress. A place that was generating less than 20 million in a year is now generating over $1 billion, close to $1.5 billion in a year. It's there for the public. So let them be patient. They will see the results.
And that's the much we can take on this episode of Borno Restoration. Many thanks for watching. Next week is going to be a fresh episode. I am Jacita Fida. See you next time. Bye-bye.